And we are live. Welcome to this week's episode of Let's Talk About It. We got our big brother Jamar with us this week. You want to say hey to the people?
What's going on, people? It's an honor to be with my bros. Good evening, good evening, good evening.
Yes, sir.
That's the bishop. That's the bishop.
We got brother Team right here looking like a peppermint.
Yo. Wow.
We got brother Mile over here. Brother Keegan over here. And we missing big homie Kurt for right now. He might come through a little later. We'll see. There he is.
I'm not great.
How y'all feeling? Everybody good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
It's been a long day.
Yes, sir.
Friday.
It's a long Friday. But I got paid today, so I didn't work.
I got paid today. Didn't even know I got paid.
That's kind of bad.
How?
Why you not
Because how much came in?
That's rich people problems.
Yeah,
That nobody knows
I
about.
got them
Look. I'm thankful for the
No, what came into my account was like so thin because they only gave me like a half a week's worth of pay. So I didn't even know that I got paid.
That's tricky.
Hey, man.
Pocket change.
Thank God for you.
Y'all good though?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been good. It's been so real quick. This was the first week I was back in the homes. So I'm a family-based therapist, so we work with people in the homes and stuff like that. So it's the first time we were back in the homes. Everybody had to wear my mask. Yeah, like that. Wearing that mask all day is really wild. Like I couldn't breathe. But we had to bring our own chairs. That's a little interesting, you know. Like a little chair.
Oh, wow.
I had a little like Forrest Gump chair. Like
Forrest
Gump. It was cool.
Shrimp,
But
shrimp ball.
shrimp ball. Nah, man. But yeah, that's what I had. It was crazy. But yeah, good week.
You was good, Team?
Yeah, man. Today was cool. Woke up, didn't eat all day though, but God is still good.
Yeah, that's a hurt piece for you.
Struggles. If y'all know me, y'all know
Can't
food
eat
is
food
my
back.
middle name. Okay. Eat food and eat is gonna be me.
Clark Smith.
Tahini, food, Clark Smith.
Nah, but it was cool. Everything was good. It just feels good to be with the bros and stuff. Had a car shower for my cousin. She graduated high school. She's going to Central Penn. I'm proud of her. And my boy Antoine and his lady is moving to Atlanta. So we went to that joint. That was cool. Now we here. This podcast with my bros. So great way to end the day.
And you had a good Friday, Jamar?
I did have a good Friday. So I worked 3 days at home and I worked 2 days in my office. So I had to go into the office on today, but it was an easy Friday. Got a lot of things that I needed to accomplish. Tomorrow, for those that don't know, I have a secular job. I am the president of our union for my job, and we're having a essential curb grab and go tomorrow for the workers. So we're giving them like essential items that they need, like hand sanitizers, masks, gloves, different things that they can use. But it's a small care package just to tell them that we are concerned during this pandemic. So just trying to, finalize all of that. But it was a cool Friday.
That's dope.
That's really dope, man.
If y'all got any more of them hand sanitizers left over, I want
Throw
some.
them away. Throw them over here.
Throw them to
way over
Harrisburg.
here. I mean, not throw them away. Throw them over here.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, my niece is 9 years old. Her mom has a new shop in Harrisburg called Hair Crush, and she is now selling her own hand sanitizer. So she is a young entrepreneur, and the hand sanitizer smells really, really good, and it definitely is a good product. So it's only $5. So I'm just gonna shout her out. She does have Harris hand sanitizer. Her mom's shop is located on Union Deposit, where Big Lots is. So if you want to go support her, go support her. Her name is Gianni.
Definitely.
Okay.
We support all Black-owned businesses.
Yes,
We're
sure.
going to get them joint pushed.
Absolutely.
Push.
All right, so this week we're going to talk about something that's a little touchy, but I feel like we definitely need to hit on it. We're going to talk about generational curses, legacies of sin. We're going to talk about unbreakable habits that people feel like they can't shake. We're just going to dive straight in. So let's start with you, Keegan. What you think about this?
Man, I think first of all, this is loaded. Generational curses are something that a lot of people don't like to talk about because of it being such a harsh topic, but also like you're dealing with family too. So you're dealing with like things that happen from like generations down, from like years ago that people don't even know about. People don't ever like think about. So that can be a little bit of a situation. Yeah, man, it's just crazy. Like I can't really explain like how I really feel about it because I think personally me, I have to learn how like to deal with it my own way. And breaking those things something that we need to do. Like I feel like it's hard to like say that we want to do it, but it's definitely needed in our families and in our nation now, especially our society too. Like some things happen to us African American men, we gotta find ways to make it work. And I think that's kind of a generational thing, you know. So starting from slavery and then coming down to where we're free now, but are we really free? Like, do we really feel that way? You know, those generational situations. So yeah, it gets way deeper than what we can think about.
What about you, Ma?
I definitely agree. When it comes to no one likes talking about generational curses at all. Why? Because it's a curse. You don't like talk about what curse you have on your life. Like no one wants to talk about that. So it's like we definitely need to get into the nitty gritty. If you think about like different psychologies, the first thing to getting over what you're like getting over is the first admit that you have a curse, bro. Like you really have a curse, and it has to be something has to be done about it. And you're not going to see any growth or change into your family, into your life, into your children's life until you really put it out there that I have a curse on my life.
Right.
That's just me.
What you think, team?
Just to piggyback off of what both Slug and Miles said about it, it's definitely something. It's a touchy subject, and it's something that a lot of people don't want to talk about. I want to touch on the part about the family aspect. A lot of people don't really like putting their business out there like that. Yeah. They're dealing with different things, that really trouble them. A lot of different things. Depression, just like college. A lot of people like they didn't finish college because their parents didn't finish college, so it's something that was passed down. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot, so they don't really want to touch on that because it's a sensitive subject, and it's just something that you have to man up about and just be like, all right, like I gotta figure this out because what do I want for myself so that my kids don't have to deal with what I dealt with. So yeah.
I'm definitely in full concurrence with all three of you. I think we are a group of people who can strongly say that anything that's happened in the past, we want that buck to stop with us.
Yeah.
It doesn't go any further past where we are right now. Jamar, what you think about the situation, bro?
So this is a great topic. So shout out to y'all for even allowing me to be a part of the conversation. I think that when it comes to generational curses, I was just having this conversation with some other friends of mine, and we talked about how generational curses, a lot of times we see it as curses, but sometimes it's learned behavior. Honestly, because a lot of people pick up things that they see. You think about a child, and when a child actually hears and see, they learn by the visual of what their parents or the guardian or whoever elders, and they pick that habit up. And I was listening to some things, when I found out about I was going to be on the show, I started listening to some things to kind of get some research, and I listened to Pastor Tony Evans, and he had a series about this, talking about generational curses and how we can reverse it. And one of the things that people had to understand, yes, we do have these things, generational curses and things like that, but we have to understand that it does not, as it's been stated, it can stop with us, because we have to understand we have free choice and we have free will that God gives us, that where we can make the choice to say, it stops here. It's not going to continue on. So just because somebody has been, let's just say, an alcoholic, and you have watched your whole life of seeing this, and people have been pouring in saying you're gonna be just like your mom or your daddy, they were alcoholic, and you start believing that. You have to have enough power in yourself, especially when you're a believer. You then have to tap into and say, you know what, I'm not the curse that people have tried to put on me, but I am better than that. You know what I mean? As it's been stated, I'm going to be the one that's going to change that with my next generation, and it's going to stop here. So just because my mom, my great grandfather, and all of them have done it, I don't have to continue this cycle. It can stop with me.
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah, that is.
That's good.
I like that.
We felt it was very imperative to have you on this episode, most because many people don't know, but you are our youth president for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania jurisdiction, Ecclesiastical Church of God in Christ.
Yes,
And,
sir.
we felt no one would be better to have for this type of situation than you, because I feel like you can definitely bring a different mindset than we can, because you not only you're not that far in age from us, but you also have a greater wisdom than what we have. So we appreciate you being on.
Man, listen, I love the fact that y'all can have these hard conversations, because I think it's needed, especially for you, your generation. Everybody ain't talking about it, and it's a lot of times that it's so many things within our church that are taboo that people don't want to actually talk about. But our generation and your generation are like, listen, why can't we talk about it? They're talking about in the world, if we supposed to be the trendsetters, if we're supposed to be the people that are setting the standard, we should be the one that starts the conversation, not the one that joins in on the conversation. So, I commend y'all and I applaud y'all, to continue to keep on having these hard conversations, because it's needed, and people will see that and they will applaud y'all for starting that conversation, because believe me, y'all are not the only ones that's talking about this. It's people that's afraid to kind of bring it out into the light, but y'all are bringing it into the light. So I applaud y'all for even starting the conversation tonight.
I appreciate that, man. For real, man. Appreciate that, man.
Speaking of bringing it to the light, we're going to talk about how there's like realms of aggression and trying to avoid things and fears that come with generational curses. How you guys feel about that?
That's deep. That's real deep.
I think that, like when we were talking about before about how it's a touchy subject, I feel like when you get into really talking about, okay, I have this over my life, how do I deal with it? A lot of people don't really know how to deal with life in general. So when you're talking about like college, for example, I don't know how to deal with this, because my family members and all of them, like they didn't go to college, so I don't really have a background on how to really go to college, or how to go through different things, or how to get there, stuff like that. So like it's hard to it's hard to really break yourself away from something that is a part of you, until you really figure out, how do I get through this, and like how do I fix this myself, because my family they're not gonna be able to help me with it, because they went through it and they just ended up where they ended up. Like they fit in where they fit in. And like if you don't want to be that way, you got to figure out, how do I want to do this. And I don't know, like for me personally, I have issues with really dealing with, I'm just gonna be honest, I have issues with dealing with my different issues with my family. Like I don't like really bringing stuff in the light like that, because I'm a person that don't really like conflict. I don't like issues, stuff like that. So for me, I have to go about it a certain way of how I should be able to handle myself when I approach a situation concerning, generational curses like depression and stuff like that, because it runs in my family. So it's something that I have to really sit down with God with first, because He's the answer to all things, of course. And then I have to sit with myself and be like, okay, like how do I deal with this, and how do I go about my everyday life with different things? So yeah, that's my portion. But what y'all think?
You had said something about depression. I feel like that's a toll that a lot of people's families deal with. That's not just like saying this is my family's issue and we don't even want to deal with that. Now that's something that's, when you want to say generational curse, that is literally a generational curse. Like depression is something that
Jesus. No, for real, bro.
Like,
and let me say this. It's even on the Black community. You know what I mean? When you really start tapping into it and you think about what our people have dealt with so many years of the trauma, and think about it. 400 years they just went through slavery, and here we are still fighting through these same issues. You know what I mean? It's that trauma that we keep on going through. You think about the shootings and the different things and the killings, it's that trauma. So it's important to talk these things out, because if you keep it embodied in, it can turn into something else. You know what I mean? And it's a frustration on the inside, and you may not be able to it may not be able to come out the correct way. So I'm glad like people like Keegan and people like Tahim are going through psychology and different things like that, because I believe that people can go and they can be in Christ, but you still can have a counselor.
Hello,
and
bro.
you still can
Say that
talk
one
to
more
somebody
time.
professionally. You still can talk to somebody professionally. And I think a lot of people in the church need to understand that. And I know growing up in the old church, they didn't really believe in that. And I get that, because they didn't believe in that set of time. But now we are coming into a greater understanding. And I believe that God gives people wisdom. And I think that we as people of God should be in every aspect of life, in every facet. Because we, again, if we're going to be a part of the kingdom, if we want to spread the gospel, we have to be in these different arenas so that, we can start and be able to lead the conversation. So I applaud you. But to get back to what you said about the depression thing, so many of us are going through those deep traumas and those deep hurts and those pains, and it's layers upon layers, and you have to deal with it, and you have to be able to talk. Yes, we're going to pray, absolutely, because that's what we do as believers. But after you get up to pray, you may need to talk to somebody. You may need to get some help and have somebody that is not really on that necessarily. And don't get me wrong, we can go to our spiritual leaders. That's what they're there for when we have help. But it's nothing wrong with getting that professional help and seeking that person out, that be able to, hear you out, even if it's a spiritual counselor, that be able to kind of tell you, like, listen, from a perspective that I don't even know you, but we going to not only pray about it, but here's some things that you can do, some tools and some things that you can take away and be able to apply to your life. We deal with so much trauma on every day as Black men. Let's say that, as Black men, we are in a world that, people don't want to see us live, and that's a lot, for somebody. So you need to talk to people to kind of get that, that conversation started and get those emotions out, because if not, it can be very detrimental to your health and to your mental health as well. So, I definitely, like I said, it's definitely needed.
Yeah, and to add on to what you were saying, like, if you don't get that help, that brings you back to your question. That brings that anger and that frustration. And sometimes you don't know how to take that out. You can take it out on the wall. You can take it out on a person. Yep. You can have that one night that you accidentally got stopped by a cop and take it out on a cop. Like, you have to know when, where, and who to deal with your problem with. Yeah, honestly, no, for real. Because one wrong move can be detrimental.
And that's what I was going to touch on, because I just seen a story today about a girl that was going through something with her man, and she was like really depressed and going through a whole lot, and she happened to have kids by the guy, and she was like really depressed and everything. And what she did was she got in the car, she went on live, and she was like, I can't do this no more. So, like, I'm just going to end it. But she had her kids in the car, and she went in the oncoming traffic and just, like, basically tried to kill her and the kids. So, with the kids, they were cool. They took the kids to the hospital, and they ended up taking the mom to jail. Like, and I just saw that today, and I'm looking at that, I'm like, yo, like, there should be no reason why you feel as though you can't go to somebody for help. Yeah. Like, you shouldn't have to go through that. Something as little as a conversation with your significant other, whoever it was, you know what I'm saying, could have ended all this. But with like stuff that, pride and stuff getting in the way, and then you let things overshadow your judgment. Now you have kids that you have by him and they're yours. You really gonna risk their lives to jump off of a bridge, kill them and you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
like depression and when it comes to like psychology and everything, like I learned a lot about this in schooling and stuff like that. But the thing about it is that when it comes to generational curses, all right, one thing that Jamar has said, he talked about like how like it sees learned behavior. It's nature and nurture. Nature tells me that my body, like nature tells me that I'm Black. Because my mom and dad were both Black and they came together and made me. But nurture is saying I'm seeing something and I'm physically doing it because I'm seeing it. So in reality, going to depression, when it comes to that, the idea, like if I see my mom, like, who I know is depressed, like, you see it, like, this never happened, but let's say I see my mom get hit by my dad or something like that or whatever, like, I'm learning not to talk about my stuff. Yeah. So like, is it really that easy to say, hey, like, all right, I'm gonna go to a therapist because I need to talk about my issues? I can't say that. I don't think it's that easy. I don't think it's like a thing where we can just say, all right, well, yeah, like I have an issue with suicide. Oh, I have an issue with pornography. All right, let's go talk to somebody. Let's make things work. no, like I'm just gonna sit with it because it's my thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna rock with it.
I'm gonna rock with it because it's my thing. And the crazy thing about it is that like we can touch this a little bit, but generational curses like sometimes can start to feel good because you're leaning in it in a weird way. Don't let it be like a sexual sin or something like that. Like all you're doing is just like doing your business. So at this point, you're like, oh, like, I love it. Let's make it right. Let's make it happen. But in reality, that stemmed from like years past, and like it can become to appetite, and you need to feed it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you need to feed it. But it started from generational curse. You know, so like it can go both ways, man.
Yeah. To go on to the next topic, we want to talk about like those habits that just are not breakable. Some are unbreakable. Some you literally have to break it. What do you think of some examples of some unbreakable habits that some people like deal with?
Unbreakable.
Whether it's in the church, whether it's outside the church, just what do you think are some just unbreakable habits? If you ask me,
flesh, bro, flesh.
Kurt said Kevin.
Flesh. I will be honest. Flesh is one of the hardest things to break because as a human, there's just gonna be naturally things that you want for yourself. Like it's just gonna be certain pleasures that you want because it's a part of your nature. It's who you are. And like I look at even at our age, and even like when we were younger, there was just certain things like before, like we would see, be like, oh, that's nasty, like whatever, like that's nasty, whatever. But as you grow up, certain things becomes like I want this, and a lot of times we don't like to talk about it, but like basically, as far as like getting married before you have sex, that type of thing, like that's a hard subject to have for a lot of people. But a lot of people are like, I'm not really worried about that. I'm just gonna do what I gotta do. And we just gonna leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are having babies. They're not married. A lot of people are like, it's a lot, bro. Like a lot of people, like, and it's just like because times are changing. People aren't really thinking biblically anymore, really, and that's just honesty. They're not like they're thinking of reality, not of like biblically, but they're thinking of like right now, like what do I want right now? You know what I'm saying? I know the Bible says, what do I want right now? A lot of people take, for instance, with alcohol. A lot of people take the scripture, alcohol. A lot of people take the scripture. It's about saying, like don't get drunk, so they take it. Well, I'm not getting drunk. I'm just having a little bit, but that little bit goes into a lot of it, and then you get what I'm saying, like it's a lot.
A
lot of it.
Yo, one thing you said, team, that I really think we should like hit on is the fact that like times are changing, and like that's the thing that we gotta understand. Like, while times are changing, the things and or methods are not changing per se. So it's like there's a lot of stuff that still happened from way back in the day. Hashtag like generational curses. Like it's really ridiculous. And I think right now we're in a place where like we are this generation is like desensitized to what is like good and what is bad. Like
good is good, good is bad, and bad is good.
Exactly, but not even that. It's just that like everything is good. Like there's no bad. Like everything, like there's no black or white. It's everything's white. Everything's good. Like everything's black. Black lives matter. But anyway, what I'm saying is that like at the same time that like it is like a real situation that we are stuck with. To the point that we can't even like have a conversation with our like parents or like with some type of authoritative figure about those situations. And then also to get into another topic, not another topic, but another idea of it too. Like these parents aren't having these conversations with their kids. Mm-hmm. So the wild thing is that like when I'm taking this fifth, a Henny or something like that, like I'm just thinking I'm having a good time. But then my mom knows that like that, my uncle was doing that like 4 years ago, and his uncle was doing that, and his father, and his father. So like in reality, to me it's a party. Yeah. To me it's a fad. To these generations, it's a fad. But like for their parents, like to their parents' knowledge, it's a real situation. It's a generational curse that's going to like lead on to other things. This conversation has to happen.
Yeah, and to add on to what you're saying, it's like even if like in the music we listen to, in the movies that we watch, like they make it, they sugarcoat it so much. Alcohol isn't a bad thing. Like have these people go out so much and they don't understand.
Hard drug use.
Yes. Like we paint a picture like it's not that bad.
Yeah, like I remember like there's one show on Netflix that's called Riverdale. That's going crazy. You should definitely watch that. But like, Riverdale's crazy. But it's to the point that you
definitely. Yeah, y'all got me watching that show.
That's so crazy, bro. That's so crazy. But like, so what they had, one on the show, they had this drug called Jingle Jangle, but it's basically like heroin. It's crazy. So it's like
green light.
Green light, bro. Green light. So I'm saying, but like what I'm saying is that like they have all these drugs and like people don't understand. Yeah, okay, it's like green light. Oh yeah, it's like jingle jangle, whatever. But in reality, that is a hard drug, and making it seem like it's okay for this to be happening. They're selling it in schools. They're selling it in situations, but like they once again being desensitized to everything. And with generational curses, like people don't understand that that's where it started from. There are generational things that happen, and now like we have to deal with those things and the repercussions of all these situations too.
That's a big one. The consequences.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
I was going to say some of the things that's going back to what y'all said with the generational curses. I think when people see this behavior, they think it's okay because everybody's doing it because it feels good. Like there's no morals, there's no standard. That has been kind of broken. And then when you do have a standard, they looking at you crazy because they're like, well, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you doing it? Or why aren't you being a part of this X, Y, and Z? But you have to be able to stand up and be able to say, enough is enough. I'm going to stop it. It stops with me. But to go back to what you had said about, people seeing that person drink and that person drink, it's like, it's a normal behavior because nobody ever told them that it was wrong because they feel like that's right, and that's all they see all their life. If you see it, you think about somebody that is, a man that abuses women, and he's like, well, I see my dad do it. I thought, it was okay, to do it. But when you come into the knowledge, and you come around and you really get an understanding that that's not okay, and you really start finding out that, first of all, alcohol is going to damage your liver. Let's alone, this some of those things like that, and you got to think about it. But even let's talk about, the small things when we talk about generational curses. And I'm not trying to get deep and I'm not trying to come against anybody when I say this, but, even the things that, we eat, that we put into our bodies, those different things like that, and the things that we put like that. Okay, let's keep it real. Us as church, we know it's always been a thing that, after a service, what do? We go and eat. We at a diner, we at a restaurant, we're eating these late different nights. And because it's a learned behavior. I saw somebody say something before. They asked the lady, they were like, well, why do you put turkey leg or something like that in your greens? And she was like, I don't know, my mom did it. So they asked the mom, they was like, so why do you do it? And the mom was like, I don't know, my grandma did it. And then they were like, we just thought that you did it. And they were like, we just did it because it was flavor. Like, it's like really no reason. But they were like, it's a tradition, we have to do it. So, traditions, learned behavior, generational curses, they all kind of run concurrently, all together kind of. And you have to be, I'm in the place now that, I don't want to have a generational curse. I want to have generational blessings where I'm able to pour in, you know what I mean, and carry on and say, okay, we're going to reverse this thing. What didn't happen and what should have happened, I can't really change what happened in the past, but what I can do is change what's happening now and moving forward so that my seed and my seed will be able to see that, although marriage may not have worked in my, previous families' lives, and maybe they had divorce and different things. Well, that stops here because we want to show this generation now that it's okay to have healthy marriages and it's okay to live a good life and it's okay to, get your credit right. So what if, maybe your parents and things, they were to save and different things like that because they only did what they saw that their mom and dad did. But now that I'm actually here and I'm actually saving and learning about, generational wealth and different things like that, it's my job to get on the right track and do what I'm supposed to do to continue on the new cycle, which is blessings, not curses, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's good, man.
And we can even get deeper into the root. Like, if we look at the biggest generational curse that's around America now, racism. Like you said, it's passed down. It's learned, actually. It's definitely learned. And it's not one. That's one of the bad habits that the unbreakable habits that just won't break. I'm sorry. I'm one of the people that believes racism is not going to go anywhere.
It's
And
always gonna be
even if we do tackle the fact of racism, I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere. But like that's one of the generational curses that's been passed down from generation to generation.
Yeah.
And some stuff is still actually surfacing because things that we haven't, like, I feel like certain things never really left. They were just under the limelight. Like they were like under the surface because as far as the 4 different people that just got lynched, like not too long ago, like that stuff didn't really go anywhere. It just wasn't pop. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't something that was really in the limelight. I just seen another video there about a lady. She was saying like, I'm gonna make sure my kids feel the same way that I feel about y'all. Like, and she meant that. Like, but you have to realize you're putting another generation in they don't even know why they're hating them. Basically, it's just because my mom hates them, so now I'm gonna hate them, and it's like, for what? Like, why? Like, what's the reason? Like, we should change. We should change the way we think and like basically like everything like how we feel and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, it's no reason. It's really no reason for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's time to change things around, like you said. Like, it's really time for that. Like,
one thing Jamar said that was really crazy. I mean, you've been dropping nuggets the whole joint, but like I'm saying, like the one thing that you really said was like tradition, and like that's the place where I'm really stuck, because like what we were talking about earlier, we were talking about how like this society and this like generation has been desensitized to things, and I'm realizing that like everything is good now. So like generational curses are now like tradition, yo. So it's not the fact that like it's a problem. It's not a problem to me that I like black people. I just know my mom and dad don't like black people, so I don't like black people. Exactly. Cool. That's not a problem. Right. That people think of their brother and sister in a sexual manner, but my cousin did that, so that's what's happening. You know, and these are all generational curses that happen that people need to talk about that they don't want to talk about. And I think that's like, it's just crazy how a bad situation can get to a spot where it makes like generational things like just seem easy. It's tradition now. It's love. It's okay. You know.
And Keegan, you said something that you have to talk about it. In order to talk about it, that's the only way you're going to truly be free. You have to talk about it. And you're not only going to free yourself, you're going to free the rest of the other people's generation, because they'll feel like, okay, if you talked about it and you saying that it's wrong, I now can feel comfortable in a setting that I don't want to be judged, but I can talk about it because I'm not the only one dealing with this same type of trauma. So we have to talk about it, because there's other people that are out there that are suffering and they feel like they're all alone. But if we don't speak about it, if we don't talk on it, then, you know, they actually are sitting there like, man, I wish I had an opportunity, you know? So this is why I'm saying this platform is so important that y'all are talking about it, because there's people in your generation that are wanting to have that conversation but don't know how to, you know. And then they may be able to go to their parents and say, listen, let's talk about this. Like, mom or dad, why did this happen? Why is it like that? You know, and they may not know, or they may know, but it's good that they'll be able to talk about it, because that's the only true way that you're truly going to be free, is if you make it known and put it into the atmosphere. And then it's a responsibility of us now, you know, now that we're talking about it. My question to you guys will be, what are we going to do? You know, what are we going to do? How are we going to help this generation? You know, we can't keep it to ourselves, but we got to help each other. You know, we're going to see our brothers and our sisters prosper and be able to live in a good, mental, healthy life as well. And I want to say some traditions are good, and then some traditions are bad. Not all traditions are bad. But there's good traditions that we need to continue on as well. We need to continue on, like Mel said, to talk about racism and how deep and how, you know, what's going on, and how we can be the voices. Just talk about it and not be silent. You know, you can't no longer be silent about that. You got to stand out and talk about it. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say on that part when you was talking about it's time to be free. It's time for us to free ourselves.
Free ourselves. Free. And I'll free ourselves, man. That's
I love how we got started from talking about flesh being a thing, because like, just because Papa was a Rolling Stone, now I mean I gotta be a Rolling Stone. We went into health within family, you know, just because Uncle and Grandpa dealt with cholesterol issues and high blood pressure. I mean, I'm necessarily gonna have to. I can work on my health in a way that I don't have to go through those things. We talked about racism. We want to be the people who start those conversations so that those things can be like it's always going to be an issue, but we at least want to have the conversation started. So going forward, the next generation after us and the generation after them, they are so far along because of us that they don't have so much work to do. And I feel like every curse can be broken with the evolution of starting somewhere.
Yeah. Yo, I like the fact that you said it to start somewhere, yo. What I was thinking about, it's kind of crazy when Jamar was just talking, it made me think, like, with the generational curse thing, of course, if nobody's talking, like I said earlier, it's just like a tradition, or I'm just like me drinking is just me having fun. You know what I mean? I'm just drinking, mind my business. So I realized that, like, for us to like gain our freedom, we have to just get rid of sin, you know? And that's something that we have to like really understand. It all starts like with a sinful mindset, a sinful idea. And because like if I get rid of that sin, so in my mind, I'm just thinking of me not drinking. If I get rid of that, that's in my mind. You know, Mom, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I've been having this real bad urge to drink, but the Lord's been helping me with this. And then Mom will be like, "Wow, like Keegan, like your uncle had the same thing like 2 years ago." And then it turns into generational curse, but it starts with the sin, you know. And one thing that I was watching Brandon Jacobs this week, and one thing he said that really blew my mind was the fact that he said like, "Yo, a lot of the times when we have sins and stuff like that, there are I'm kind of contemplating the situation where he said that there's gonna be some sins or some temptations and some things that you want that like God may not take from you, but you have to literally beat your flesh up.
Yeah.
To like get rid of the situation. That blew my mind because it's time. Like what he's saying is like, yo, all right, like that temptation of you like wanting every change that you see is gonna be really crazy, and I'm not gonna take it away from you. But you are gonna subject yourself. You have to tell yourself, hey, I'm good. I don't need that. And like I think Paul, I don't know where it was at, but Paul was talking about like.
That's when you was talking about that. I was thinking of when God was talking about a spiritual thorn. Like you're always gonna have something that's gonna always be with you, but you're gonna have to learn how to deal with it. And to like, you know what I'm saying? Like feed off what he was saying. Like you're gonna have to learn how to deal with it, and you have to learn how to grow from it. Like you can't let your thorn like take you to a place where like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I can't do this now because I have this going on. No, like you're just gonna learn how to deal with it and how to grow from it. Like,
and die from flesh daily. Yo.
Yes.
Yes. I think what I was saying was that like Paul. I think Paul was talking about how like he has it's like a weight of ministry on you, and like he has to like subject himself to like dying the flesh daily because it's a real thing. Like I can't let my testimony be like evil spoken of one, and like everything I do is gonna be for God. But there's gonna be some things that I just have to deal with because that's the way in. We were born in sin and iniquity. That's the thing. That's where the Bible says. Therefore, like we have to get rid of that. There has to be times where I tell myself in the morning, Keegan, like you are not going to eat that Krispy Kreme donut 3 times. Like I'm not. Like I mean, let's just be honest, yo. That's real. That's real. Like that. You know, but like I mean, that's funny. But like in reality, that's a real thing. You have to wake up every morning and tell yourself, yo, I'm like for me, I'll be really like blunt. For me, it was anxiety, yo. Anxiety on anything. On like whether it be like, oh, kind of like is this going to sound good? Am I going to be able to make sense? Am I going to be able to finish my homework in time? So anxiety was the thing. I had to wake up every morning and pray to God and that God, like, I know you have set a plan for my life, and the devil, like enemy, Satan, you have no way to get through to me with anxiety. I kill that in the name of Jesus. Like, that's a daily thing because it has to be a thing. You have to break yourself and, like, learn how to do it, learn how to have, break that tradition. Yeah, it's crazy.
And I wanted to say, you said something, Keegan, about the thorn. And I believe that sometimes God allows us, and Tahim kind of touched on it, that he keeps that thorn because it makes us pray more. It makes us fast more. It keeps us humble. You know what I mean? If he took it away, we really would be like, well, you know, I don't need to pray. You know, I don't need to do that. And you like, God, why don't you take that? Because he's trying to teach you. You know, we always, you know, I used to hear the older saints that say, you know, you got to be careful when they say make me and mold me, because God really will do that. And when he begins to make you and mold you, it's like, whoa, he's cutting some stuff and it don't feel good. You know what I mean? He's really got you on a, he's slicing and dicing for real. And it's like, you know, he really is molding you, but that thorn is really keeping me on my knees because honestly, I probably wouldn't pay earnestly as much as I do if it wasn't there. But you said also another thing about you got to say, you know, daily affirmations over yourself. You got to speak to yourself. I am not that curse. I am not, you know, the mistake. I am not who the person I say. I know Kendra always teases me because I always say a lot of times in my messages that I'm not a statistic, because I could, when I really truly be thinking about, I used to deal with this and I used to always question God, like me and my brother, and we talk about, generational curses and blessings and things like that. Me and my brother, we grew up in the same household and we went to church. We all did the same thing, but it was something that my grandma said that was different when my mom had me versus when she had my brother. She said, when your mom had you, she was always in the church. She was always before God. She was there. But when she had your brother, she was out. She had her good time. She was partying. She was doing her own thing. And then when we grew up in the same house, I could not understand, like, why is my brother wanting to, venture out this way and do these things when I still want to stay, closer and get closer to God. And he was there. And I really didn't understand that until, some of those things, like he just had that desire. But again, it was his choice. It was his choice because he had the same opportunities. Like it was before us. Like, it's almost like the Matrix. You can either choose the blue or the red pill. He had the opportunity to choose and God gave him free choice. He just chose to do things differently than what I did. And I thought about that and I'm like, God, like I used to question, like, God, why am I not, I grew up, in the inner city. Like why didn't I, find myself in jail, or why didn't I find myself having, all these kids, or why didn't I find myself, shot at or something like that? But God is a keeper because he preserved you, because he needed a remnant. He needed a representative in the family to be like, the buck stops here. So I was one of the ones that say, you know what? I'm going to be the one to make the choice that says it stops with me. I'm going to take up the mantle to say it stops with me. So what if my mom and my dad didn't go to college? I'm going to go to college. So what if they didn't get married? I'm going to get married, and go do it the right way. So what if they did X, Y, and Z? I'm going to change that and ask God to help me. And say, God is saying, it's almost like, he gives you that choice and you see all these choices in front of you. And, it's like God is saying, okay, you can either do good or you can do bad. But it's not that the desire has left me, like you said. Like, I have, that flesh is fighting every single day because it wants to do and feed the inner man. But my inner man, it's a war going on in the inside every single day. And the only way truly that we can actually be able to fight that is through prayer, through fasting, through reading our word, through connecting with people that are like-minded, like myself, that will be able to pour into me when I'm at my lowest point, that say, you know what, I feel like going and doing this. And they're saying no, because I have accountability. You guys are accountable. Y'all, for y'all friends, y'all are accountable for each other. So when one is down, you're going to call somebody and be like, yo, no, we not doing that. You're not doing that. And you got to be real with that person, because God has placed you in that circle for a reason. And you should be able to appreciate when somebody is telling you something, because they're not telling you that. They're telling because they see the potential in you and they know you're better than that thing that you're about to do and mess up. Y'all talked about purpose and things last week, man. Y'all was talking good. That's all I'm going to say. Y'all was talking. I was at the camera like, I got to get in on this next conversation. But man, I'm just saying, like, this is all good. Like I can't stress it enough. Generational curses, generational blessings. This is an all great conversation. And for your viewers, have that conversation with your circle, have that conversation with your family, and y'all be the change that y'all want to see. Guy had to get on me one time because I was that one that always said, well, why ain't they doing that? Or they should be doing that. And God said, why ain't you doing it? What's wrong with you? Like, you stop pointing the finger at everybody else saying they should have did this. No, it's coming back at you. What are you doing to change the situation? How am I being the atmosphere changer? How am I being that person that's going to change my generation? So it's a bigger scope and things, and it just goes back to the generational curses start with us, and now we're reversing it and making it generational blessings.
I love that. Two things that you put on. you went into how the relationship with your sibling, and I kind of can speak to that personally, where me and my sister, we came up the exact same way under the same exact household, same mother, same father, but she went one direction and I went in another direction. And I always ask myself, even though I'm the younger sibling, was it something that I could have done differently that like helped bring her along? Is something I could have been saying to her to help give her a different mindset than what she has right now? Is it something that, you know what I mean, just like activities we could have done together to like, yeah, like I took the blame for it as to say like, because I'm the younger, even though I'm the younger sibling, I still act like the older brother. So I feel like it was something that I could have done differently that I didn't do. And I always took a guilt to that. And hearing what you said just now, that eased my mind a little bit. And even in the same sense, I'm still going to go and try to create that type of relationship with her that we don't necessarily have.
And that's what I was going to say. The thing about it is that I did not stop. You know what I mean? I didn't stop encouraging my brother. I didn't stop looking at him different. That's blood. You know, at the end of the day, that's still, I'm always going to want to see him prosper and I want to see him do better. Sometimes it takes people a little bit longer on the journey than it may took for you, you know, and you don't throw people away because they made a mistake, you know, but you continue to pray for them. You continue to see God, and he is the one that's going to do the change. You can't do the change. What is it? Oh, some water. Sorry, my wife asked me. She's helping me. That's why it's good to have a help me. All right. So some water, some waters, some plants, but God does the increase. So what I'm saying is, you may be the person that has to water, but somebody else is going to be doing the planting, and God is going to do the increase. And here's the thing. We are living off of the prayers of our ancestors that prayed a long time ago. We are living. The reason why we don't go through certain things is because grandmom and auntie and them have prayed for us, and they wanted something better for us. And now we have to continue that same prayer. See, this is some of the traditions that we have to continue. We got to continue praying for the next generation. So when I'm dead and gone, that my name is still living and it has not died.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. You also had pointed something about the association within who you have in your inner circles and things like that. I feel like that's another type of generational curse that not necessarily has to be family based. Like the people that you associate yourself with can also, we always talk about, I want the curse to end with me, but we never talk about, I don't want the curse to begin with me. And I feel like the people that you associate yourself with can really bring detrimental thoughts and feelings and all types of emotions to you.
That's good.
Like your whole family was never drinkers, but because you hanging out with them, now you a drinker. Family was never alcoholics and drug dealers and all types of dealing with cocaine and everything, but now you are. So now your children are going because they see you. I just feel like,
and you know why? Because spirits are transferable. When you connect yourself to the, when you connect yourself to the wrong people, you pick up things that you weren't even supposed to have. It's like
they don't like this type of teaching.
Listen, it's like that example. It's an example that, you know, when you talk about people that when they went to somebody's house back in the day, because I've been there. When you went to somebody's house back in the day, and you know, you found out they had roaches or whatever, then you done end up coming back home and your mom's like, you know, shake all your stuff out at the door because I don't want that bringing that dirty residue to come. And the problem is we go into relationships carrying the same old residue from the old relationships, and we need to be those ones, like you said, to connect ourselves with people that are, I shouldn't be the only one in the room that should be the smartest person. I should have some people that are smarter than me that's in that room, because I'm trying to get to the place that you are. You know what I mean? I want to be attached to some people that are millionaires, some people that are greater, that's in careers, because I'm trying to get to that level. You know what I mean? And if you keep hanging with what they say, and you keep hanging with the pigeons, you're going to be there. But if I want to be a rising above and hang with the Eagles, no pun intended, I do like the Philadelphia Eagles, and I know we get into the sports, but I want to hang with the I want to hang with the Eagles, and I want to soar. But you know what I mean. And I want to hang with people that are like-minded and are doing greater than what I'm doing. So you said something there when you really touched on that good part.
But I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I'm low key gonna play devil's advocate on that statement because
you
can easily rub on to your friends.
It's good to be the smartest.
It's good because trust me, I have my group of friends that they not real church, but if I say something about church, we're gonna get deep into it just as long as I am too. Exactly. So it's just like definitely don't put yourself with those people, but sometimes you're gonna be that light that shines to your friends.
Right.
So absolutely.
And I think about that is that like I mean, this is a whole other episode. But the thing about that is that like that always starts with your relationship because like, if your relationship is big enough with God, then God will be big in you. Therefore, you can be a light for Him. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father. Like you know what I mean? Like that's the thing. So I've realized that like if we are a light, that we could be like for other people, but it's all about your relationship. If my relationship is not strong enough, I will easily get pulled down. Because that unequally yoked thing, that's not all that's not just with marriages, not just with like girlfriends, not just with like like spouses. That's with friends, yo. I'm saying if we not like I think about from this standpoint, it's not getting a little deep, but like if I'm about to be 25, if we not talking about how we're going to like set up the rest of our lives and legacy, yo, I have no ties to the conversation. If you still talking about the next car, like the next car you trying to get, you still talking about how you the next pair of Jordans you need, like, all right, bro, like I'll see you next week. It's cool because like why even a Jordan line, I'm getting a house. You know, I mean, it's just like things, man. We gotta grow up, and if we're not all leveling up together, like there's no, it's not gonna feel right, and then that kind of brings off like the weird like vibes between people. Now people looking up to you. You know what I mean? So it looks different. Like we're on the same level. We walking side to side, but when I'm up in here, they're looking up to me. So now it's like they feel some way. They feel down there. You know what I mean? Like it's just this is a whole other episode.
We're gonna have to put like a to be continued.
Like a part two.
Everything that we just said.
Like a part 2 or something.
We definitely gonna hit on like peer pressures and soul ties and things like that in another episode. But you had said something about stank pigeons. I think you said. No, you talking about eagles. You talking about eagles.
Eagles fly. Oh my God!
I know. As for me, I think I can talk for everybody in this room. We're in the call. Sports is about to start again next month, and I think we all excited.
Hey, I'm a football coach, so we've been practicing all week, bro. I'm ready. All right, watch.
Listen, I'm definitely excited. I'm definitely excited for everything to get back. It's going to be very interesting because of everything that's happening right now. And you know, they're saying that it might not necessarily be fans and different things in the arena, so it's going to be interesting. But I'm excited as everybody is. Of course, I want everybody to be safe, but I think that, you know, we want to get back to seeing those things like those different staples that we are used to seeing, you know, and it's going to be interesting, man. It's definitely going to be interesting.
I'm tired of seeing 2K matches on ESPN. Yeah. I'm like, 2K match on ESPN, like, that's cool.
On demo mode.
Yeah. Like,
Only sport I'm worried about is basketball, and they can be in the arena without fans. If you ever had 2K and that thing glitch, you done seen a game without fans before. I don't care about no fans being there. I just want y'all can put y'all mask on if y'all really need to. Just have some filters in it.
The little Richard Hamilton mask.
Oh, that's crazy.
I just want some sports back.
I do have a question for y'all, and it's like kind of sports, kind of racial related. So we know Colin Kaepernick, you know, that, you know, people have, you know, said that he should get his job back, and people are looking at him, different teams and different things. Do you think he should come back as a starting quarterback for somebody, and if he does, do you feel that he's going to have that same level of ability that he did a couple years ago, or what are your thoughts on that?
If you ask me, I feel like it all, being a starter or not, all depends on how that training day goes. Honestly, they just have to have it like they did have before when they were thinking about bringing him back. They had a few teams out and they had him training and stuff, and they'll see, like, you'll see from right there and there if you're going to be a starter. Maybe he won't be a starter because he's been out the NFL for so long, but like I feel like, I don't know. if you're hungry, if you ask me if I had the height, because I have the ability. If you put me on the field, even though I have not played in 6 years, I'm going off. So it's like it depends on if that drive and that mental drive is there.
I mean, mechanically he got
it. You ask me, this man has been working like the entire time since he's been out, and like even though no team has picked him up, that hasn't stopped his drive, that hasn't stopped his work ethic, and with these cats that is playing as starters for these teams nowadays, he can start over a good percentage of them.
Tyrod Taylor.
Whoa.
I ain't even mad at you about that. To be honest with you.
Wait a minute.
What? You can come back in the frame now if you want to talk.
Come on, Kurt.
I'm executive producer.
Oh, my bad.
Shut him out.
I shut him out.
You got cats like what's Mike Glennon and
Trubisky?
Yeah, Trubisky that's starting.
Right.
Like you telling me that Kaepernick can't start over them? Like, come on now. He's not going to be at the same.
What?
Dodgers.
Come on. He got mechanics, yo. People acting like he wasn't balling when he was on the league,
Which I gonna act like he did not almost win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, granted, his last year was kind of like trash, but like he was really killing. Like when he was killing. Like when he was really killing.
Yes.
Yeah, like he's not gonna be on Russell Wilson or like Pat Mahomes level when he first comes back.
Nobody's
No.
He's gonna need time. And I don't think it has to be with the workout either. If he's good in the workout, don't be. Yeah, I mean, he's gonna need some time.
Yeah, I mean, no, I feel like he's gonna need time for sure. But like his mechanics though, bro. Like if he hasn't lost anything, bro, he gonna be on somebody's team. There's no like.
But can I say this? And I think we're here to talk about it. And this is no shade, but Colin wasn't. I mean, but he wasn't A1, honestly, when he was playing. I mean, that's no shade to him, but I'm just saying he wasn't.
I don't think you were watching.
What? Go ahead, man.
Bro, you must be talking about Wentz.
Well, he did.
Let's look up stats. Here we go.
Yeah, he can start over Carson.
He can, and we will gladly take him.
Come on, bro.
Now, if we're being honest, and when he was playing, when he did like 3 straight trips to the playoffs and got to the Super Bowl, and just happened to have lost that game, and that wasn't totally on him. So
true.
I don't think you can really say he wasn't all that. Like,
no, I'm not saying that he wasn't. I mean, he was definitely he was great is what I'm saying is. But I'm just saying, like, I was okay at the time before he actually got cut. Was he top 5 out of the?
I mean,
he was top 5.
He was never top 5, but I mean, like, he was still like
top 10.
So he
top 7.
So he like an average quarterback. Like I hate saying this because I'm a Packers fan. But here we go. Like I say, I hate saying this because I'm a Packers fan. But Matthew Stafford is a really good like quarterback. He's just a good quarterback. Is he top 10? No, but he can get you like Matthew Stafford not top 10. Like you think he's top 10?
I think he flirts with that 10 spot.
11. Like he let me go and say that. Like
what you think, Kurt?
Like you making like he's top 5. You don't think Matthew Stafford's top 10? Well, what I'm saying is this: like Colin Kaepernick was around that same type.
Yeah.
Just look, he's top 5. That's and we talk stats every single year. He's up in the top in stats. Every year his team is just terrible.
This team is trash. The Lions.
Let me see. What is that?
I don't know how they got to do with this basketball tournament or whatever they got going on for the NBA. But it's like 22. It's 22 teams that they brought in, and like they all try to fight for.
Yeah, just like AU.
Like I don't know how they gonna do it, but I'm ready for sports, man. MLB's coming back.
I care about no baseball.
I care.
Yo, all right. So like with baseball, bro, you gotta be into like watching stuff. I've been watching pictures, bro, and these niggas be really like
baseball is a patient game. If you don't have patience, you can't watch that.
I'll say this: baseball is more interesting in person than what it is on watching it from TV.
Yeah.
Hockey niggas getting their head.
I mean, yo, you have pitchers are throwing 98 miles per hour.
Bro,
98 miles per hour.
Yeah.
That's different.
Your arm's crazy. Imagine if them niggas throwing
I want to see my arm off.
Imagine if they was throwing footballs. Like, what?
Yeah, you ain't catching that.
You're not catching that football, bro.
Brett Favre was almost that far.
But his joint was like sideways.
Anything else you got for us today, Jamar?
Listen, man, I'm honored that y'all allowed me to even come into this circle to conversate. I definitely, hopefully, this is not my last time.
Oh, not at all.
Anytime that y'all, because listen, y'all touched on some good stuff tonight. So I already know it's an indication of, we're getting to tap into what y'all probably talk about in your individual time. So I appreciate y'all for being that conversation starter and starting the conversation. Continue it. And just continue to be yourself and be that light. I think somebody said tonight, be that light because it's needed and you're needed in this generation. And y'all now have the mantle. Y'all don't, I think I told one of y'all, like, y'all don't have next, y'all have now. You know what I mean? Yes. So y'all definitely have to continue on.
That's a good word.
Continue on and do what God has called you to do. So I'm proud of y'all. I love y'all and I appreciate y'all for allowing me.
Yes, sir. But thank you again, Mar, for coming out.
Yes, sir.
Coming on, I should say.
Yeah,
definitely on.
You out, come out.
But yeah, this is another episode of Let's Talk About It.
Yeah.
Like we say all the time, like, comment, give us feedback, subscribe on our our YouTube. We need the feedback. Definitely
on YouTube, on Facebook.
Yes, sir.
And do us a favor. If you're gonna share, #generational curses, #generational blessings.
Yes, sir.
We want to know how you guys think about this thing.
Yes, sir. And let's start a generational blessing by tagging and sharing to the friends.
Sir.
Share with a friend, and them friends share with a friend, and them friends share with a friend.
Good.
Whoa! Yo. Anyway, we out of here, y'all. I know he's all right.